the Honorable Moses Jabatis, Minister of Health, Wellness and Elderly Affairs, Ms. Jenny Daniel, Permanent Secretary, Ministry of Health, Wellness and Elderly Affairs, Dr. Sharon Belmar-George, Chief Medical Officer, Ms. Joanna Atherton-Renaud. Good morning, our Chairperson of the Board of Directors here at the Millennium Heights Medical Complex, Dr. Dexter James, Chief Executive Officer, and senior members of the Ministry of Health, senior managers of Millennium Heights Medical Complex, team members from the St. Lucia Health System Strengthening Project, Project Implementation Unit, the members of NIC, members from Windward Island Gases, Maria Holder Foundation, welcome, and specially invited guests, friends, media, welcome to the opening and commissioning of our oxygen plant here at the Millennium Heights Medical Complex. This morning, to get things underway, we wish to invite our chairperson, who will welcome everybody officially to this event.
Good morning, everyone. It's my pleasure to welcome you to the official commissioning of the new oxygen generating plant at the Millennium Heights Medical Complex. This is a milestone event for the board of directors and the staff of this institution, and so we are truly appreciative of the effort that you have made to grace us with your presence on this occasion. I'd like to recognize the presence of ministry officials and our special guests. In that regard, our Minister, the Honorable Moses Jabatis, Minister with responsibility for Health, Wellness and Elderly Affairs, Ms. Marie-Ange Simmons from the Maria Holder Memorial Trust, the sponsors of the housing for the oxygen generating plant, our PS, Ms. Jenny Daniel, Mrs. Sharon Belmar-George, the CMO, Chief Medical Officer, and all the other senior officials from the ministry. I also want to recognize the presence of our CEO. Obviously, he will be here. But basically, to share that our transition from the rental of a tent to house the oxygen generating plant to this building, this facility that we have here, was made possible solely through his connections and his dedication to the promotion of hospital philanthropy as a means of securing funding to supplement what is given to us by the government of St. Lucia. Ladies and gentlemen, when the board took up office sometime in November 2021, some of our key concerns were how were we going to improve the quality of care provided to patients, how would we reduce our operating costs, and how would we generate revenue. This new facility will certainly assist with achieving all of these and other objectives. But I don't want to steal the thunder of other speakers by elaborating on the pros and cons, the positive impacts of this facility, what it will have on the healthcare in St. Lucia, the impacts it will have on the healthcare in St. Lucia, or our journey that brought us from the tent to here this morning. So I'll stay in my place. What do they say again? Stick to your role? Stay in my section and stick to what the tasks have been given. So once again, I extend a warm welcome to each and every one of you, and thank you for coming to celebrate this milestone with us.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Now we invite our Permanent Secretary, Ms. Jenny Daniel, to address the gathering.
Thank you very much, Master of Ceremonies. I just wish to accept the protocol that has been established here already and to wish everyone a good morning, a pleasant morning, and a wonderful day. The Ministry of Health, Wellness and Elderly Affairs is pleased to continue the process of strengthening the healthcare sector in St. Lucia. One of the key components of this strengthening involves the building of resilience within the sector. The need for a resilient and robust healthcare sector was reflected very clearly during the recent COVID-19 pandemic, and therefore this process must proceed with a degree of urgency and consistency that will allow for adequate preparation to face any impending threats. We often take for granted the availability of oxygen that facilitates life, that we breathe. However, within our secondary and tertiary health facilities, the availability of medical gases is often crucial to preserving lives and sustaining the functionality of our healthcare services. Consequently, the ministry is today very pleased to witness the commissioning of this oxygen plant, which was procured through the Health System Strengthening Project of the Ministry of Health and financed by the World Bank Group at a cost of $275,000 United States dollars. The road leading to the procurement of this very important piece of equipment was a very long and involved process, which I will not go into, but those of us with the institutional memory know all about it. However, we are here today and we have the pleasure of witnessing the significant occasion through which significant resilience has been introduced into the healthcare system. It is anticipated that this plant will provide the requisite support to the entire sector, including primary healthcare and other secondary healthcare facilities on island, including the St. Jude Hospital where necessary. So today and onwards will herald a new era of improved healthcare services at the Millennium Heights Medical Complex, as we say well done to the team in honor of the commissioning of this vital oxygen plant. We are also grateful to the World Bank Group, the project implementation unit, and the technical staff of the Ministry of Health, including the financial analyst who I don't see here yet this morning, Mr. Anthony Filgens, as well as Mr. Lucas Polion, our biomedical engineer, who is also a little late this morning, who were the key lobbyists with the strategic vision for this project and really pushed towards, making it a reality in terms of the procurement. Once again, on behalf of the Ministry of Health, I wish to thank the Millennium Heights Medical Complex, particularly Dr. James, as the chairperson so very truthfully, sincerely indicated, for his real commitment to, permitting the commissioning of this oxygen plant. And we look forward that it will be a very successful component of the healthcare service delivery at this complex. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Madam P.S. We now invite Mariage Simmons, who will represent the Maria Holder Memorial Trust, who funded the building that you see, which houses our oxygen plant. Ms. Simmons.
Good morning, all. Allow me to adopt the protocol already established. I'm very pleased to be here with you this morning to represent the Maria Holder Memorial Trust and to read remarks from Ms. Rochelle Roach, who is the Chief Executive Officer of the Trust. I was actually here with Ms. Roach and my father, Mr. Simmons, in September for the handover of a wheelchair-accessible bus to the Ministry of Education. And it's fantastic to be here again on this occasion for the commissioning of the oxygen plant. Ms. Roach deeply regrets that she's unable to be with you this morning, but she's here in spirit and is happy to have me fill in for her on this occasion. The Maria Holder Memorial Trust is a registered charity in Barbados and currently assisting some of the OECS territories. The Trust operates in Antigua and Barbuda, Dominica, Grenada, St. Vincent and the Grenadines, and more recently in St. Lucia. The Trust's focus sectors include education and training, health, poverty alleviation, culture and the arts, disaster relief, and conservation and the environment. The Trust bears the name of the late Maria Holder, who is of Swiss descent and who made Barbados her home from the 1970s until her untimely death in 2004. The Maria Holder Memorial Trust first started to fund projects in St. Lucia in 2019 and over the last few years has funded 4 projects. This oxygen plant marks that 4th project. The Trust was pleased to partner with the OKEU Hospital after discussions with Dr. James further to the request received as Oxygen is Life. Therefore, when the project was presented to the Board of Trustees, it was an easy yes. It's lovely to see when organisations and governments also try to assist themselves, and the hospital was that vested partner in bringing this into reality. But we know that they can't do it alone, and the funding assistance is always needed. In the past, the oxygen was outsourced, which cost thousands of dollars to maintain. Being able to be a part of the construction of the housing is a small part to play in being able to bring oxygen in-house, and this will be of tremendous benefit not only to the patients who need it, but also in saving the hospital money, which could go towards other needs. The construction of the housing took only a few months to be completed, and the Trust representatives were happy to see the end results in their previous visit in September of 2023. Dr. James, Ms. Roach asked me to express her thanks to you and stated that it was indeed a pleasure working with you and your team on the project. The Maria Holder Memorial Trust was happy to partner and play a small role in today's achievement and will continue to do its part in assisting the people of St. Lucia and the region. On behalf of the founders, trustees, and executive team of the Maria Holder Memorial Trust, we thank you for listening and take this opportunity to wish you all a wonderful Christmas season. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Ms. Simmons, the Maria Holder Memorial Trust. Now we invite our CEO, Dr. Dexter James, to address the gathering.
Thank you, Dave, and pleasant good morning. So first of all, let me declare my interest. I have no interest directly or indirectly with the Maria Holder Trust. I only know of them as a philanthropic organization while in my sojourn in Barbados. So just leverage that continued connection. But good morning, and with established protocols in place, a warm welcome to all to the Millennium Height Medical Complex. Today we gather for a momentous occasion to commission the latest addition to our healthcare infrastructure, the Millennium Heights Medical Complex oxygen plant. This commissioning marks a pivotal step forward in our commitment to providing exceptional people-centered healthcare services to our community. The establishment of this oxygen plant is not just the creation of a facility. It is a testament to our unwavering dedication towards improving the hospital infrastructure to ensure the provision of the high standards of quality patient-centered care to the people of St. Lucia. Before commissioning this plant, the OKEU, as the principal user of oxygen, consumed in excess of 10,800 bottles per year, the equivalent of about 25 to 31 bottles per day. This new plant has a capacity to generate a reliable and continuous supply in excess of 50 bottles of oxygen per day, nearly twice our average daily consumption. So how did we get to this stage? Firstly, our journey to this moment was marked by the supply of the physical oxygen plant by our parent ministry, the Ministry of Health, Wellness and Elderly Affairs, through its World Bank Finance Health System Strengthening Project. Our next step in this project development involved the identification of a suitable building contractor to construct the oxygen housing and the sourcing of funding for the construction. In that regard, tenders were invited selectively for the construction of the oxygen housing, and of the 4 submissions received, HL Construction Limited of St. Lucia was selected as the approved tenderer to execute these works at a cost of $311,982 EC dollars. So how was this project funded? In early October, a formal application for funding was made to a philanthropic organization called the Maria Holder Memorial Trust, a registered charity from Barbados. And by December 14, less than 1 month thereafter, my board was able to secure approval of funding in the sum of $311,982. The full cost of this project was funded under that particular philanthropic donation. The funding support marked the third stage in this project development. The general terms of this agreement include the right of the trust to visit the hospital at any time to inspect the works. Very reasonable. The requirement for the OKEU to effect insurance coverage in relation to fire and other perils to make sure that we preserve the integrity of the plant. C, particulars of the project must be kept confidential unless required by law. And finally, the OKEU must meet any required shortfall in funding for the project. Ladies and gentlemen, the construction works for the oxygen housing commenced on April 24th this year. And by the 24th of July, 3 months later, HL Construction Limited completed the construction of the oxygen housing on time, within 3 months, within budget, and with the highest standard of quality workmanship. It would be remiss of me if I didn't recognize and especially thank Mr. Clive Antoine, our Plant and Facilities Manager, and his project management team for providing the required project oversight that enabled this construction to be executed within budget and time constraints. Minister, my board recognizes that it cannot rely on the government of the day to provide all the capital funding required to maintain and improve our healthcare infrastructure. We have therefore adopted hospital philanthropy as a viable option for sourcing funds to meet major capital investment projects, such as the commissioning of the oxygen plant. Within the first quarter of 2024, we will be establishing the first Millennium Height Medical Complex Trust as a special purpose vehicle for seeking out philanthropic sources of revenues to support major capital improvements and sustaining our healthcare technology. Once these builders' works were completed, the final stage of this project development was the technical commissioning of the oxygen plant. This was accomplished in late October this year by the on-site commissioning, startup and training executed by Acute Medical Gases of the UK. However, while the system was able to produce hospital-grade oxygen, a faulty sensor had to be replaced to ensure the required safety standards were met. The company later returned in mid-November, to replace the sensor, and we're happy to report today that the oxygen plant is now certified, fit, and safe for use in the production of hospital-grade oxygen. But while all of this is taking place, the logical question that one may ask is, how was the MHMC able to obtain and sustain the much-needed oxygen in settings such as our open wards, ICUs, operating theaters? The short answer is that there is yet another philanthropist here with us today, our own Windward Island Gases Limited. This company supported the country with all the oxygen needs through the very difficult period of COVID pandemic, and even today supplies the hospital with our daily consumption of approximately 25 bottles. With the commissioning of this plant, does this mean we'll discontinue current arrangements for the supply of oxygen with Windward Island Gases? Absolutely not. We will continue to procure oxygen from Windward Island Gases at a significantly lower level, and focus our attention on preserving the continued relationship by reducing our balance of outstandings to the company. In early January 2024, we will meet with the principals and negotiate mutually agreeable, orderly settlement of these outstanding balances. Thank you to Windward Island Gases for this support to country, and more specifically, the Millennium Heights Medical Complex during extremely difficult times. In closing, my board would like to present the prestigious Millennium Heights Medical Complex Corporate Social Responsibility Award to the following companies: However, permit me to elaborate in a few lines the notion of corporate social responsibility. CSR, as it is called, is about sharing the economic value and sources of revenues created by organizations such as the Mario Holder Memorial Trust and the Windon Island Gases in a fair way across many stakeholders. One such corporate social responsibility activity includes philanthropy, which is the donation of money to institutions such as our hospital that supports patient care to the people of St. Lucia. So our first prestigious Millennium Height Medical Complex Corporate Social Responsibility Award in the category of capital development is given to the Mario Holder Memorial Trust for the provision of funding to support the construction of the oxygen housing, and I now invite Ms. Mary Ann Simmons to receive the award on behalf of the Trust. Our second award goes to the Windon Island Gases Limited in the category of Sustainability in Service Excellence. And Mr. Lubin is not here, but we would just like to recognize them as the recipient of that award for the sense of corporate social responsibility to the country during very difficult time of COVID and even today. Ladies and gentlemen, I thank you for taking time off from your busy schedules to attend this momentous occasion. We commit that in the face of unprecedented challenges here at the complex, to lead the cultural transformation of the Millennium Heights Medical Complex as a leader of healthcare excellence for the benefit of the resident population. Our vision is for the MHMC to be developed as the best place to work, the best place to receive care, and the best place to practice medicine. I thank you all for participating in this commissioning program and bid you a pleasant good morning. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, CEO. Dr. Dexter James. Minister, I hope you're my height. Okay, so we're moving on. We now invite the Honorable Moses Jabatis, Minister with responsibility for health, wellness, and elderly affairs, to deliver our feature address. Welcome the Minister, please.
Thank you very much. I thought I just heard the feature address from Dr. James. But I'm very... You get to me? Yeah. I hope you don't mind me fixing the... Right. All right. Thank you very much. Good morning, everyone. I'm very pleased to be here to offer some remarks on such a wonderful occasion. I wish first of all to thank the Holy Spirit for bringing all of us here and for bringing us to this point. I want to recognize Ms. Jenny Daniel, Permanent Secretary of the Ministry of Health, Wellness and Elderly Affairs. Also, our Chief Medical Officer, Dr. Sharon Belma George. I wish to recognize Ms. Simmons, Ms. Maria Simmons, I hope I have the name correct, I'm not sure, but Ms. Simmons from the Maria Holder Foundation. Let me also recognize Dr. James and also the chair of the Millennium Heights Medical Complex, Ms. Joanna Reynolds. Let me say good morning to other members of the board, if there are other members of the board. I want to say good morning to the staff of the Millennium Heights Medical Complex. Many of you are here, medical professionals, administrative staff, and other senior members of staff. I wish in a special way to recognize the other staff of the Ministry of Health, Wellness and Elderly Affairs, staff of the Project Implementation Unit, Windward Island Gases, other invited guests, once again, good morning. I wish on behalf of the Prime Minister, on behalf of the government, on behalf of the Cabinet of Ministers, to say thank you, thank you, thank you to the Maria Holder Trust. Let me advise Ms. Simmons to please, with humility, take our thanks to the principals of your trust and to express to them how this gift means such, it is really, really important to the people of St. Lucia. I wish to say thanks also to the World Bank for offering us the opportunity to obtain the oxygen plant. I wish to thank Dr. James for mobilizing the funds and for using his relationship with the trust to assist the people of St. Lucia and to assist the OKEU hospital. I wish to thank the board of the Millennium Heights Medical Complex under the direction of Ms. Joanna Atherton Reynolds, and I wish to tell them how grateful we are as a government for their work. It is very important for us to recognize that everything we do in a medical facility, those of us who work in healthcare, and those of you who are directly responsible, whether it be the CEO, the board, or members of staff, and I say so, you may have heard me say this before, it is very important to recognize that you are in a very selfish sector. Very selfish. Why do I say so? I say so because whatever you do here, you're actually doing for yourselves and for your families. In other sectors, if you're building roads, in infrastructure, you may not own a vehicle. You may ride in a vehicle. You may use the roads and say there are lots of potholes. You may complain. But sometimes you're at home and you may not really care because for a whole week you may not travel on the road. If you are producing beers, you may not be a drinker of beers. And you look at every other sector. But the health sector, if you work in the health sector or you are contributing to the health sector, you're really doing it for yourselves and your families. Because no matter who you are, no matter what you possess, one day you will have to interact with this very sector. One day you will have to interact with the OKEU hospital, whether it be you or your families, your grandparents. One day we will have to interact with ourselves. So when you put efforts such as this in your own hospital, I want you to think for a moment that you're really doing it for yourself. The Millennium Heights Medical Complex is one key facility in the web of healthcare infrastructure in St. Lucia. What is our role? The role of the ministry, as you know, is really guidance to ensure that we have quality, to ensure that a board is efficient, a board which is appointed by the minister, and the minister gets his direction, his policy direction from the cabinet, which is headed by the Prime Minister. And what is the key policy direction from the cabinet or the Prime Minister? The key policy direction is putting people first. And how do we connect the commissioning of an oxygen plant or an oxygen producing facility to putting people first? Well, I listened to Dr. James, and Dr. James indicated that this oxygen plant will save the facility a lot of money. In earlier discussions, I think the figure was something like $150,000 a month, possibly. And what does this mean? How do we connect this to putting people first? Well, if we develop efficiencies at the Millennium Heights Medical Complex, whether it be with resources, whether it be with personnel, whether it be with operations at the hospital, whether it be improving systems or ensuring that we create structures within the hospital which will create efficiencies down the road, then you will have more space to put people first. You will have more space both with resources and with our energies to ensure that the people who interact with the Millennium Heights Medical Complex get the putting people first treatment. I wish to thank you for all of your efforts over the past few months, over the past few years. I wish to thank you for sticking with the Millennium Heights Medical Complex through the challenges. And there have been many challenges, tremendous challenges. But somehow, most of you, those of you who are here, continue to stick with it and continue to do what you have to do to ensure that we put the people of St. Lucia first when they do interact with the medical facility. I want you to be an example to the world. And Dr. James indicated this philosophy, this idea of using the concept of hospital philanthropy. I think it is very important to use philanthropy because no government can do it alone. No government can supply any hospital with everything that it needs. I want you to be an example to the world because, again, when individuals work at institutions, whether you are a doctor, whether you are a carpenter, or whether you are an individual in administration, a lot of people believe that they are just coming to work 8 to 4, and that is it. You have an opportunity to be the best that you can be. You have an opportunity to create the best environment, the best hospital, not only in St. Lucia or the Caribbean, but in the world. And what does that do for you as an individual? Again, I go back to sometimes you have to be a little selfish. What does it do for you? If you create the best hospital in the world, then, according to Martin Luther King, the world will find a path to your door. So while you believe you may just be at the Millennium Heights Medical Complex doing your job, whatever job it is, if you do a good job, an excellent job, then the world will create a path to your door. And you never know where you can reach tomorrow. So I urge you to continue to be a patient-centered hospital. Use every opportunity to create space, create avenues, in order for us to continue to put people first. In our case, put our patients first. In our case, put our staff first. In our case, put everybody who interacts with us first. And if we think of it like this, and if we think that we are doing it for ourselves, because one day we will interact with the hospital, then I think we are well on our way to creating an excellent environment at this hospital. I want to say to you, just a few days ago, Dr. James, the Permanent Secretary, the Chief Medical Officer, and some other team members from Ministry of Health, Wellness and Elderly Affairs visited Martinique, the University Hospital in Martinique, and I'm sure Dr. James in time will tell you of the beautiful relationship and how we try to deepen that relationship. And so it's another example of what we can do to make our hospital the best hospital in the world. Again, I want to thank you. I want to say to you that while no feature address or no speech can cause us by itself to put people first, efforts like this one clearly shows that you are thinking of the people of St. Lucia. I was very happy to hear Dr. James speak of Windward Island gases. And I want again to place on record the appreciation of the government for the relationship with Windward Island gases, especially during the COVID-19, the heights of the COVID-19 pandemic. And I wish to thank the principals of Windward Island gases. Let's have another round of applause for Windward Island gases. Thank you. Thanks for all of your efforts, Dr. James and the Ms. Simmons, representing the Maria Holder Trust. Let me thank you, thank all the staff members for your sacrifice. I know it's difficult. It's very difficult, I know. But let us stick to it. Let's do the best that we can for the people of St. Lucia. I thank you very much. Thank you.